What's up guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make the pretty agar. So just to give you a little look at what that looks like, it does appear to be normal until you give it a closer look and it will be all shiny. We prefer to do this just because it's something more unique. Everything that you'll need is a media bottle up to 1000 milliliters will work the best, a magnetic stir bar, a scale for measuring, and then we like to use pre-made agar powder just for an easier kind of feel for everything. We don't have to come up with our own recipe or anything like that. So to get started here, what we're going to do is go ahead and put our media bottle on our scale, give it a tare out. We'll open our bag of agar powder here. And you could do it with a spoon. I just prefer to kind of like dump it. We're going to do 15 grams. I just get that over to 15 grams, a little over, a little under, that's okay, as long as you're just in that range. A little bit more. Perfect. I don't know if you, okay, you can see that. So right there we're at 15 grams. And then what we're going to do next is just drop in a stir bar. And then as you can see over here to my side, I have 9 pre-made already. And just what that looks like is this pretty much. The only thing that these are all missing is 750 milliliters of water. The reason we do 750 milliliters is because we buy the pre-bagged and sterilized agar containers. There's 20 per sleeve, and 750 milliliters is actually perfect to fill all 20 of them. You can get more. We like to pour them a little bit thicker than normal, as you can see here. I did forget to mention, this is the luster dust, what makes it kind of glow, what makes it shiny and everything. That's what it looks like. And then there's no specific amount of this that we're going to use. I do kind of like just a little bit of a dash. There's a better look at what it'll come out like. Now, I get this on Amazon, as well as this agar powder and all of these jars or media bottles, as well as the scale. I will put a link in the description for everything so you can find them, make it a little bit easier for you guys. Like I said, we're not doing too much. We're just going to put a little bit in there. Now that we have 15 grams of agar powder, we have a dash of our luster dust. The only thing we're missing is 750 milliliters of water. After we add the 750 milliliters of water, we'll give everything a quick little mix on the stir table, and then they will all go into the 75X All-American to help out sterilize them. As soon as they're sterilized, we'll let them cool down. We'll use our little thermometer here. As you can see, it kind of gives a display. We'll wait for everything to hit 120 degrees to stop all the water buildup and condensation buildup. As you can see, these are all very clean. That's just the way that I prefer to do it. I don't want a whole bunch of water in the dishes or anything like that. It kind of just makes it as easy as possible. So I'm going to get some water boiling, and I will be right back. For you guys, it'll be 2 seconds. For me, it'll be a little bit longer, but stay tuned. Okay, so we have our boiling water, as you can kind of see right here to my side. We're going to go ahead and fill up our container. Move this out of our way for right now. We'll take this, and then we're going to fill straight up to the 750 milliliter mark. I've noticed with these plastic little measuring cups that you kind of have to pour slow or it'll start to run down the side. So we'll just pour slow. All the way to the 750 mark, which is right there. Okay, now we will do our other two. We will go ahead and, this is going to be odd, but I'm going to use an oven mitt. I have no paper towel next to me at all right now. So here are our 3 containers filled with boiling water. Now what we like to do, you don't have to do this step. It's just kind of personal preference. I have food coloring right here, a whole lot of it. We will go ahead and do just a couple of drops. And then this is where the magnetic stir will come in handy. We'll go ahead and put this right here. As you can see, it's kind of like all sitting down at the bottom. So what we'll do is kick that on there. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of a hard time if you didn't start at the right time. So as you can see right now, I'm kind of like flicking it on and off, trying to just get that magnetic stir at the bottom to move around a little bit. If that doesn't help, give the bottle a little bit of a shake kind of back and forth just to free up everything down at the bottom. And you can see that the magnetic stir finally wants to come out. We'll start slow, just gradually get faster and faster. We just want to assure that everything down at the bottom is getting mixed in properly. If you go too fast, too quick, you'll knock the magnetic stir off the bottom, and then you kind of have to just keep restarting. So that's not what we're going for here. We want to just kind of make sure everything is nicely, evenly incorporated. There's our little vortex. We'll let that mix for a second. Then we can also cap it as well. You don't want it to cool down too much. The agar inside will start to kind of harden up, and that's not obviously what you want inside your media bottle, but here's our color. And that's kind of why we like to do the glitter inside. Just it makes it unique. It's not anything that's required. It's not anything that you have to do. It's just kind of a personal preference. We'll let it get its vortex. Just like that. Now you'll let it spin for a little bit, and the reason why you want to let it spin for a little bit is because, as you can see, I didn't let this spin for very long, and it's already kind of all settling down at the bottom again. Most people don't really talk about this when they make agar, but I mean, this is like one of the biggest things that happen all the time. So basically, you'll let everything sit, spin for a couple seconds. I would say like maybe 30 seconds to a minute, just to kind of make sure it's well incorporated. And then I do like to use longer magnetic stir bars just to kind of help. In the past, I've used very small ones, and in these media bottles, the bottom of them is arched, so it doesn't like to sit inside there very well. So as you can see, there should be, okay, maybe not in that one. In this one right here, there's a stir bar, and then as you can see, it is like a longer. There, I believe these ones are 35 millimeters. And we'll just kind of give everything a spin, let it all sit for a second. Put our cap back in, and we'll let this one spin just a little bit more. And that's basically all there is to it. So now what you're going to want to do is get aluminum foil and cover the lids. I will go ahead and do that here in just a moment. So we'll be right back. Okay, so you're not going to do anything fancy. You're not trying to completely cover up the top. I'll just rip a piece, rip it in half, and then basically just another thing beforehand. Okay, so it is tight. So what you're going to want to do is go a little bit backwards. I like to kind of put it right to where it like snugs up, and you still have a little bit of play inside of it. That way, when you do put them inside the autoclave or your pressure cooker or whatever you decide to cook them inside of, and then as you can see, sometimes this does happen. So what we'll do is just go over it with a second piece of aluminum foil. You don't want these to blow up. They will build pressure. You want that pressure and the air to be able to escape out of there. Okay, so we have the All-American filled up with water to where it should be. We have everything set up. We're all plugged in. I will show you guys how to use it as well. We're going to go in with our first jar, go in with our second jar, and then our third jar, or media bottle, whatever you'd like to call it. Kind of all does the same thing. You can also use a liquor bottle, like a fifth bottle or a mason jar. You just want to make sure that you poke a hole in the top of it for gas to be able to exchange. So now I like to do this prior to putting the top on. I'll turn it on, put it all the way up to 10. As you can see right down here, we are all the way on 10 and it is on. We will go ahead and add our top now. There is a little hole right there that is for this tube. So you'll slide your tube right down inside there and you'll push these little clamps down into it so it lines up. You'll make sure you're even all the way around. So now that I have all of them all the way around, and then the gap all the way around is the exact same size where it should be, assuring me the fact that it is even and I have a good seal, I'll go ahead and crank all these down again just to make sure they are all tight. We'll make sure that our valve right up here, this is closed, this is open. You want to leave it open up until it throws out steam. So it takes about 25 minutes, and then that'll start pushing a lot of steam out. That's how you know that the entire autoclave is full of steam. You close that, and you'll let your pressure build. So I'll come right back to you guys as soon as I have the steam coming out of right there. Okay, so now that you can see on camera, you can't see it as well as you can see it in person, but there is steam coming out of it. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and close this, and then we will wait for our gauge right here to read 15 psi. It takes another about 20 to 30 minutes, just depending. Right now, I live in Michigan, so it's very cold. It's like snowing outside, so I do expect it to take a little bit longer than normal, but I will come back again as soon as it is at 15 psi and ready. Okay, as you can see, we are past 15 psi, so what I like to do is I let it get to about 17 psi, I turn it off, so as you can see, it is on still, but I dropped the dial all the way down to 1. The reason being for these All-Americans is they have an automatic mode, so the moment that that gets back to 15 psi, I'm going to turn it back on to about 4 down here, and that's where 4 or 5. That's where it's going to turn back on into its auto mode, and then it'll just bounce between the 15 and the 17 psi, and then you'll basically. I've already set my timer. It's on my phone. I only have about 20 minutes left, and then as soon as that timer's up, I will turn everything off. I will let this go all the way down to 0 psi. If you try to rush the process by opening this, you're gonna boil all of that water out because it's full of steam. It's like a vacuum inside right now. So the moment you open this, with it being so high in pressure, it'll just sit there and drain out all of your agar all over the place, and then this is gonna be a pain in the ass to try to clean. You don't want that, so basically just let it sit, go down to 15, you'll turn it back onto auto mode, and then it will sit there and bounce until it's fully cooked, and then as soon as it's fully cooked, let this get all the way down to 0, then you're safe to open this after you've opened your valve. Okay, so right now we are close enough to the 15, so I'm going to go ahead and do is bring this to right when the light turns on. That's really all you're looking for, is that light to turn back on. You'll stop, and then as you can see, it is sitting right at 15 psi right now. And then it'll basically just sit and bounce. There is a little computer inside of it. It just reads temperature, and that's how it knows in the automatic mode to bounce in between the 250 and then 252 degrees. It'll just sit there and bounce the whole time. You can watch it for the first little bit, assure that it is starting and stopping at the right area, then you can leave it alone for a little bit. I wouldn't recommend leaving it alone for a long period of time. I do constantly check it. I would say every about 20 minutes. Sometimes you will come back and you'll be a little bit further into the green. All you have to do is just turn it back off and then let it get down to the 15, turn it back on. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but the automatic mode does help a lot. Alrighty, now that we are at 0 psi, we can go ahead and open that up. We'll let the remaining air out. We will go ahead and start disconnecting. Some of them are going to be really tight. Kind of just go around, get the ones off that you can get off. If you can't get one off, it will come off easier once the rest of them are kind of off. We'll leave that open. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do is put on some gloves. I have like these thicker gloves from Home Depot. The inside of everything is going to be very warm. So basically what we're going to do is slide the top off. Now remember, what we did was we put all of them on kind of loosely. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten all of these lids. Now that they are all tight, we are good to start moving them. So as you can see, there's our agar, there's our green, that's tight. Here's our red, kind of pink, that's tight. And then we have our orange, which is also tight. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is get these in front of a flow hood, spray them down with alcohol, let them cool to about 120 degrees, and then we will start pouring our agar trays. Okay, so now that we are in front of the flow hood, we have our agar dishes right there. We're going to go ahead and spray all of our Petri dishes with rubbing alcohol. We want to make sure that we are as clean as possible about anything. We don't want any contamination. So we'll go ahead and get these sprayed up. As well as spray our agar bottles. Now this is 70% ISO. When it comes to mycology, all you really want to use is the 70% ISO. It kind of just allows for things to be killed. It'll sit on there long enough. We're going to go ahead and put on our grippy gloves again, just because they're very grippy. We're going to go ahead and be very careful not to have our fingers down by where any air is going to suck into this. We just want to crack the seal. There you go. Our first one is going to be ready now. We will give it another spray up the top. Let it kind of sit for a second. We aren't exactly at 120 degrees. We're at 127. So we'll let that sit for a second. While we do that, we'll go ahead and get some gloves on. Now that we have our gloves, we will spray those down with ISO as well. Kind of just rub everything in. Make sure everything is clean. And then we're basically just going to sit right here and let our hands dry a little bit in front of the flow hood, just to assure that everything is kind of sterile. Then once we're at that point, we're going to go ahead and open our first set of Petri dishes. The way that I like to do it is I'll flip it upside down and then just kind of rip open the bottom. The reason I do it upside down is just because when I flip it right back around, you'll see right here that they all come out straight up and down and ready to pour. And then basically all I'm going to do is just separate the stack in half. That way it'll make it a little bit easier to pour. We'll crack off our lid, and then basically all that is left to do is to start pouring. So this bottle is a little hot still. It's not anything that's too crazy. So what I will do is for the first couple, I will pour from up at the top. And basically all we're going to do is just make sure we cover the bottom. Just like that. And then our first 10 is done. We'll slide these over, slide over our next set. Now that we are completely solidified, what we're going to go ahead and do is get some more ISO on our gloves. And you can use parafilm tape or either this saran wrap kind of stuff. I prefer this. It's a little easier to work with. You don't have to sit there and cut individual strands and everything like that. But basically what we're going to go ahead and do is take our agar dish and just wrap all the way around it like so. And then that is pretty much it. We'll go ahead and set that upside down. The reason you want to let them sit upside down is so if there is any condensation, it does kind of just sit on the lid. It doesn't really affect your agar at all. So I will go ahead and get all of these wrapped, and you'll get a time lapse of that. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you very much enjoyed the process of making a pretty agar. Here we are at the very end of everything. As you can see, all of them came out very nicely. And here are a couple more of the colors. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, or if you feel as if you had a better way of doing something that I did, please let me know. I am learning just as well as everybody else. If you found this video helpful, please do like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, as it does help us and our channel grow. I hope you guys very much enjoy and end up making some of your own pretty agar.